I always remember when I did not understand how I used to stand under all the fool's rules running these lands. I had my head in the sand, how I used to, and I was asleep. Now I learn a little more every day, and I'm waking the sheep. Gonna say it out loud, say it proud, get it out, 'cause I'm burning inside, cannot hide it no more. I'm a raconteur too. Yeah, I'm a raconteur too. Oh, I'm a raconteur too. Oh, the people in the chat room singing. Oh, I'm a raconteur too. One more time now. Oh, I'm a raconteur too.
Good evening and welcome to Raconteurs News. It is Monday, the 1st of October in 2018, and it's been it's been a bit of a mixed day around here. Took my dog out for a walk earlier on when we had a bit of sun, but the chemtrails have soon got rid of the sun. So here in sunny Sheffield, it was sunny this morning, but as usual with the seeding and stuff like that, by late evening when people are coming home from work, the sun's generally been blotted out. I'm joined as usual by my co-host and producer for tonight, Andy Young. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing very well, thanks, Jason. Had a quite a peaceful, restful weekend, and today I had what essentially would have been a fantastic day. Took my grandson on a real full-size train for the first time, but just to piss on my chips, as we arrived at the vintage railway station, lo and behold, I heard a steam train come in. So I dragged his hand, walked up to the edge of the track, and what goes sailing past but the bloody Flying Scotsman, and we couldn't get on it. So that was a little bit of a letdown, but otherwise, absolutely brilliant day. Loved it to bits.
Did it have a ginger wig and a sporran on front?
No, but there was a man with a kilt on at the station, and my grandson was giving him some very funny looks. He's never seen that before.
You sure it wasn't?
So where was that?
You sure it wasn't?
Where was that? It was at Neen Valley Railway in Peterborough.
Ah, yeah, I've seen signs when I've gone past. I've gone past Peterborough. Well, anyway, let's get on with tonight's show. Tonight we've got a guy who I spotted on Facebook. First came to my attention a couple of weeks ago when I watched a video of his. It was highly amusing, highly amusing and highly entertaining. And I was sort of drawn to him because one, he's from my home city of Sheffield, and that's where it was taking place. And two, I just thought that he seemed like a sound enough bloke. So I got in touch with him. We arranged and we met up and had a pint last week. And we had a thoroughly enjoyable conversation. Perhaps one or two things that we might not agree on, but that's what it's all about. So I'm going to welcome to Raconteurs News Dave Sumner. How you doing, Dave?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Hello, how are you?
I'm spot on. New leg day tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to that. I'll be buzzing this time tomorrow. So, Dave, I don't know where to start. Where would you want to? How would you describe yourself? Tell us how you describe yourself, and let us know how long you've been. In the line of activism that you seem to that you're in.
Yeah, well, I remember at one point it seemed quite weird to refer to myself as an activist. I was like, is that what I am? Do you know what I mean? An activist. But yeah, the more and more I've done, I sort of accepted that label that I seem to have become an activist. Straight after when I first became active was when I stood outside the town hall dressed as Donald Trump when the mayor banned Trump. So, but I've been active on Facebook on the street.
Give us a bit of background to that, because I know at that particular time I weren't about, so I wasn't really paying much attention. What was the story behind that? What, I know there was something to do with the mayor of Sheffield. What was the story behind that? He banned Trump.
Yeah, he banned Donald Trump. I mean, it was a bit pointless because I don't think Donald Trump was going to visit Sheffield anyway. But yeah, he banned Donald Trump just to sort of like appease the students and get them all on board. And yeah, I woke up one morning and about 8:30 in the morning, and someone messaged me saying he's banned Trump, and I just thought, what do you mean he's banned Trump from my hometown? You know, I love Trump. So I just decided to go down, you know, dressed as Trump and stand outside the mayor's office with a sign saying Donald Trump is welcome to Sheffield. You know, he's just one man with an opinion, and I thought, well, I'm a man as well with an opinion. He might be the mayor, but you know, I don't really recognise authority or anything. So I just thought, well, I'll just stand outside the town hall with a sign saying he is welcome. So,
yeah, it was quite a weird move. That, I mean, I think he just did it just for the publicity, because you know, it just seemed that like, you know, he weren't coming to Sheffield anyway. What's Donald Trump want to come to Sheffield for? You know, he might do if he got some engagements or something. But like you said, this guy is claiming to represent and speak for the people of Sheffield. I'm one of those. You're one of those. That we'll have people listening that are from Sheffield, and really, we don't really want anybody speaking on our behalf. If some people don't want Trump there, that's their problem. But they shouldn't include all of us in that, should they?
Yeah, that's precisely it. I mean, I just won't allow the mayor or the students, you know, to become the voice of Sheffield, which is what the media try and portray. Do you know what I mean? With these anti-Trump protests, which was exactly a week after that, and the students had an anti-Trump protest, and I turned up to that as well for the same reason. You know, I refused to them to just get the media and portray Sheffield as a town or city that hates Trump, when I don't believe that's true. I think the majority like Trump, but you know, that's just my opinion. But
well, you know, it's whether the majority dislike Trump or, for a start, most of the students in Sheffield aren't from Sheffield anyway, so they don't speak for Sheffield. Sorry,
a lot of from China, yeah, all over the world.
So they can't speak for the people of Sheffield. But what sort of and anyway, I'd urge people to go onto your Facebook page. It's Dave Sumner, Sumner on Facebook. He's got some great pictures of him dressed as Trump outside Sheffield Town Hall. What did you? What sort of reception did you get, and what were the people like that were there?
Well, well, first of all, I put the mask on at the very bottom of the moor, and you know, I was completely on my own at this point. There was no one filming or anything. And I put the mask on and walked from the bottom of the moor all the way up to the town hall. And yeah, I got a few people, like there were about 7 black lads walking towards me, and they just started saying, you know, F Trump. So I just told them to F off and just carried on walking with my sign. But when I got there, yeah, it was a mixed bag. I mean, you can see some of the photos. I got some brilliant responses. You know, quite a few people wanted selfies. A couple of Muslims as well. You know, they come up for selfies and stuff. So it was a mixed bag. But then you get others just sticking the rods up. And I even had one woman walk past and she says, "I'll punch you straight in the face." And I looked at her and, you know, I felt quite vulnerable as well because I was stood at the top of the stairs and I thought someone's just going to kick me down these stairs in a minute. But yeah, threatening to punch me and stuff. But yeah, it was a mixed bag. And then you get the positive people as well who, you know, give you a thumbs up. And all it took is just, you know, an old bloke to just look at me and give me the thumbs up. And that was enough for me to think, yeah, that's why I'm doing it. I'm not doing it for the people that are telling me to F off and stick in the ground. I'm not doing it for them. I'm doing it for the people who understand what I'm doing. And every time I got a thumbs up off someone, or, you know, it just reassured me that, yeah, I'm doing the right thing here.
Well, you've got. I mean, you've got to stand up for a start, freedom of speech, because That's what these people want to shut down, isn't it? Is freedom of speech. The more liberal they claim to be, the more fascist they are, really. I mean, like Antifa and stuff like that. I know you've had run-ins with Antifa and various organisations. So you've also done. You've also been to, you were in London last week, weren't you, for Tommy Robinson being in court? You've been down there a couple of times supportive of Tommy.
Yeah, I've been on both of the big Tommy rallies and the pro-Trump rally as well. And yeah, I was down there last week to support Tommy, you know. I just wanted to show good luck to him, you know, on his way into court because, you know, he's at the forefront of this movement. At the front of this movement, and he's just taken so much flack. I think the government thought, you know, we'll just show, you know, just punish Tommy and sort of like show the other people that this is what happens if you speak out. You know, if you criticize Islam and stuff, or if you have an opinion we don't want to go mainstream, this is what will happen to you. And I think Tommy was used as, you know, just keep punishing him and everyone else will shut up, but he didn't shut up. He carried on no matter what they did to him. And that just empowered all of us to say, no, we're not going to shut up. We are going to criticize an ideology. We're going to exercise our freedom of speech. So, yeah, I had to be there for Tommy. And on his rallies as well. You know, I was very passionate on those two rallies. I ended up getting on the main stage at one point, which was the highlight of the day, dressed as Trump. But yeah, I said it on the stage. I did it for Tommy. I did it for Donald Trump, and I did it for freedom of speech.
And this the video that I was referring to earlier, the video that introduced me to you initially. Tell us about that one, because I mean that I was quite surprised at just how I've met you. And you're a fairly big fella. I was just quite surprised at the bravado that they were, and the stick they were giving you. You know, the amount of abuse that they were giving you. And they didn't really look like anything, did they? They looked like a bit like paedophile geography teachers or something like that. You know, I don't want to label people from the way that they look and things like that, but they just didn't seem the type.
Yeah, you're right. These people, I said that in one point of the video, these people look harmless, but the mouths on them and what they represent and the fact they want to shut down freedom of speech, and, you know, if you disagree with them, they'll quite happily call you a racist. And if you ask the lefty, you know, how bad would you rate, you know, a racist is? How bad is it to be a racist? They'd probably all say, oh, 10 out of 10, or, you know, 8 out of 10. So a leftist would admit that it's a really bad thing to be, you know, to be a racist, but they will call anybody a racist, you know, at the drop of a hat. And surely that's hate speech, but hate speech just doesn't apply to the word racist. We all can be just called racist, which, like I said, they will admit is a bad thing. But they just call everybody racist, which is very offensive to people. But yeah, they look harmless, you know, they pretend to, you know, be all about free love and flowers and liberalism when it's an absolute joke. You know, these people are evil as far as I'm concerned, and they've got a very poisonous message. You know, to paint everybody as racist and stuff it's very poisonous. Not just for the people that are getting called racist, but for new immigrants, like for new immigrants who come into this country and they put on the news and the media and they hear that Tommy's racist. You know, the whole movement's racist. They're obviously going to believe it. I mean, they've got broken English anyway. They've just landed here. They don't know our culture. They're straight away going to think, oh, this guy's racist. They're going to believe it. It's on the news. And these leftists, you know, they don't care, you know, what danger it puts people in and what reputations, you know, it destroys. They just, you know, keep spreading their poison.
What was the meeting that you attended? What was that all about? I think when it's something about stopping the far right, and what were it all about, and who'd organised it?
I don't know who organised it. I would guess it's that Muslim bloke who's in the video, because that's the same bloke who organised the anti-Trump protest.
Right.
this Muslim bloke. I don't know his name, but yeah, someone pointed him out to me at the anti-Trump protest that they had and said, "Oh, that's the guy that's organised it." So yeah, and he was there then. So I'm guessing he's organised it. Yeah, but yeah, it was how to bring down the far right. You know, again, more lies, just convincing everybody that there's a massive rise in far right mentality when there isn't. Do you know what I mean? It's just the right and the left are losing. So they think, great, we'll just paint all the right as far right. And it's pretty childish, but this is their tactics, you know, and people need to tell them, no, we're not far right. We're just on the right.
Yeah.
But yeah, the reason why I attended myself was because the guy from the bookshop was going to be there, from the Dave Gilchrist, his name is, Gilchrist, from the bookshop in London's Bookmarks.
Tell us about, give us an outline of that incident.
Well, yeah, I went down to London on a protest on Facebook HQ and the BBC. But I got there a little bit late and I missed the Facebook bit. But both really important issues to me. I actually thought there were going to be 1,000 people there or something. I thought, you know, what better thing to protest? You know, Facebook, they're completely attacking our freedom of speech. And the BBC, you know, the amount of lies they put out is just unbelievable. And the propaganda. So I thought, what two fantastic things to protest against. So I've gone down there and there was about 15 people. And this is the first time I'd met Luke Nash. I didn't even, if you said what's his name, I couldn't even told you his name, but Luke Nash. I recognised his face, but I'm not one of these people who follow YouTubers and watch other YouTubers. That's not what's got me involved in this movement. But so yeah, so we did the protest outside the BBC, and that went pretty well. You know, I shouted at the building with my megaphone that the BBC are just full of lies, and then we went for a drink in a pub. And someone just suggested that we went to this socialist bookstore that exists in London. I mean, I'm from Sheffield. I don't know anything about London, but I was like, oh, right, some sort of socialist bookshop. So we decided to go there, and I thought, oh, brilliant. I'll order a pro-Trump book, you know, and just film it and just see how they react. And that was the only intention, just to sort of have a laugh with them, really. But when we got there, I noticed in the shop window they had a "Do not support Tommy Robinson" sign. I mean, I just thought, wow, you know, this is England. This is a shop. You know, the left talk about being divisive. I mean, you can't get any more divisive than that. There's a sign in the shop basically saying, if you're on the right or if you support Tommy, you're not welcome in this shop. I mean, my jaw hit the floor when I saw that. I didn't think that was allowed in this country, you know, for political signs to be in a shop like that. But there it was. But yeah, Luke Nash was there, and he went in first with a couple of others, and then the idea was the rest of the group were gonna follow him in, which we did do. But as we've gone in there, you know, I was going to order a pro-Trump book, but Luke Nash got in a bit of to and fro with the shopkeeper. I think the shopkeeper pushed him. I didn't see it myself, but I think he pushed him a couple of times to, you know, telling him to get out. So yeah, the window of me asking for a pro-Trump book closed pretty quick, and so we just ended up walking around the shop, sort of shouting Trump, Trump, Trump. It wasn't attacked by the far right. Do you know what I mean? It was childish what happened in that shop. It was just a laugh. Do you know what I mean? It got a bit out of hand. But yeah, to read it in print, you know, the bookmark shop was attacked by the far right. And I saw it in many publications. I mean, it even got on Al Jazeera. It went bloody around the world, this. And I'm thinking, the lies are exposed when you're there yourself, when you're actually part of something like that. And then you see how they write about it. And in one thing, it said that 12 masked men or something. I was like, Jesus, they made it sound like a bank robbery. So the lies that they tell and the exaggerations become more apparent when you're actually part of something like that. So I wanted to turn up to this meeting because I thought this guy, you know, he's doing a tour around England on the strength of that. just to sell more books. I'm convinced of that, and to spread the poisonous message that everyone's racist and there's a massive rise in far right. And he even admitted that his sales went through the roof after that. So as far as I'm concerned, that's the only reason why he's doing his tour around England and going to all these meetings, because he just wants to sell more books.
Yeah, he wants to be notorious. Well, not notorious. He wants to be. He's playing a victim, which is what they do very well.
Yeah. It's the easiest and best way to get any sort of attention in life. You just say, "Oh, I'm a victim. This has happened to me." I mean, you haven't created anything. You haven't done anything yourself. You haven't helped any cause. All you've done is become a victim of something, and everyone rallies round you. Do you know what I mean? Oh God, you're a victim, and there's some there. All right, this is all right, being a victim. And yeah, that mentality is rife in this country. You know, it's just victim.
Yeah. It does seem to be a little bit of a race to occupy the being a victim. And listen, I think it's the same on both sides. You'll get people who are on the right who are claiming to be victims because and you get people on the left that claim that the victims are somewhere in the middle. There should be a happy medium where everybody could meet and talk about these things and get them sorted out so that everybody understands each other. But that's not really what the media wants, is it? They want us everybody divided.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what the left want, I think, as well. I don't think the right are divisive. I really don't. I mean, I know the right get that label because we're talking about Muslim rape gangs and we're calling them Muslim rape gangs. So we get accused as divisive, you know, but we're not, because in the same breath we'll say it's not all Muslims. I think the right are far more willing to unite than the left. There's no giving the left at all. They never pause to think, oh, I wonder why he likes Trump, or I wonder why this individual, you know, does this, or they don't think. It's just, you like Trump, so you're a racist. You know, you want Brexit, so you're a racist. It's mad. The right aren't as polarized as that. We're not like, oh, you like mass immigration, so you're a paedophile. You know what I mean? They're the divisive ones, the left, far more than the right. But we get accused with that label that we're divisive, but we're not. I think we want to unite.
But the problem you've got is that most of the left, the left, as you call them, the far left, they're the people that are in charge of the media, that have got these positions of power at the BBC. You know, the BBC, for God's sake, the BBC is such a. I'm writing a show at the moment about how the BBC have they've desexualized particularly the women they have on TV. You'll see they've got short haircuts, they'll wear trousers and a blouse or a shirt or something like that. You know, I'm currently putting something together, a little show together, so that when we've got a show where we've got nobody on. So, but you see, that's what you're up against, aren't you? You're fighting a huge machine, because the machine not only has these the word useful idiot comes to mind, but that means that then you're calling them useful when they're really not. Or you know, I think they were.
But the resources they've just got endless resources, haven't they, to push this crap?
Which is right, and then it's ordinary people like yourself, when somebody's pushing this crap, and then when people do see it and do decide that they want to do something against it, then they've got a perfect place to pen them in and say, there you go, you're a racist, like you say.
Yeah, and fascist as well is another thing. It's insane, you know. It's schizophrenic, you know, the way this world is. I mean, I grew up not thinking the world is like this, and especially the last 5 years, it's been a massive learning curve to realize how dark this country is and how evil it is. And I still can't believe it sometimes. When I look at what's happening, I just think, wow. You know, I used to think that the BBC told the truth. You know, it's the news. When you're a child, you put the news on. It's the news, isn't it? They're just telling us what's happening around the world. But, you know, to find out that no, in fact, they are just telling you what they want you to think. It's a big deal. And, you know, props to Donald Trump for exposing a lot of this. You know, Donald Trump's exposed a lot when he was running to become the president, how corrupt the media are, you know, when he's at these massive rallies and he calls them out and says, you know, turn the cameras round, show how many people are here. And, you know, and the cameras don't move. But if there's any sort of trouble in the audience, then suddenly the cameras swing round. And I was watching thinking, wow, you know, they just zoom in on Donald Trump, zoom in on his face, so you can't see, you know, the thousands of people that have turned up to support him. And that's fascism. It's hiding the truth. It's hiding information. It's mad.
And plus, Donald Trump's not just he's under attack all the time, isn't he? Not just from over here, but from international or anything like, but from his own country. I don't know whether it was you when you were talking when we sat down and had a pint outside Bagshot other week, but I don't know whether it was you that said what they're doing in America, what the media and the Democrats are doing in America is tantamount to treason, because they're trying to remove a sitting president, and they're trying everything they can. In fact, they've tried everything to stop him being president. When that didn't work, they're trying everything to remove him from being president. I can see him being president for 2 terms, mainly because, you know, they generally tend to do 2 terms these days. Bush did, didn't he? And so did Obama. And but they'll hold up all these accusations against Trump, but you can't. They won't say anything derogatory against Obama. It's so hypocritical. If you want truth and you want what's real, then really you should take both sides into consideration and not just attack one bloke simply because he's a danger to the status quo, which I think that's what they think he is.
Yeah, it's when I use the word insane, because when you actually look at what Obama did, you know, the reality that he doubled the debt of America. So, you know, he doubled the debt. And then when you look at what Trump is doing, America is better today. Americans are in a better place today when they got the Democrats out of government. But that just seems to not matter. Reality just doesn't seem to matter. That Trump is doing a fantastic job. He's created millions of jobs. The economy is absolutely booming. All these positives, and it's just ignored. And then all the negatives that Obama did, again, it's ignored. And they portray Obama as fantastic and Trump as absolutely rubbish. But the reality is the opposite to that. It's insane. The world is absolutely insane. I feel like I'm going mad sometimes when I listen to this crap. It sends you insane, because it's always the opposite, the complete opposite.
Yeah, like Obama won the Nobel Prize for Peace and didn't oversee a single day of peace in his 8-year term. Two terms. So you know, like you say, the world is upside down. I keep getting Andy sending me these messages that are people from the chat room who have just he sends them me because it's difficult for me to monitor chat room. Let me see. Trump, in my opinion, is. Oh, here we go. See, I'll just get it on phones. Trump, in my opinion, is here to see the destruction of America, the family dynasties of Bush and Trump. They didn't want the USA to die on their watch. Okay, so I think the point there is that someone's making the case for Trump being set up so that he can destroy America. I don't know if there's any.
Making everybody more prosperous. That's a weird way to destroy it, isn't it? Create millions of jobs. It's a weird tactic, isn't it? If you want to destroy the country, have secure borders. I mean, that's a weird way to destroy a country, isn't it?
Yeah, we've got from Tony as well. The Liberal left did a deal in the 60s with the elite banking financial giants, and in return, the banking elites let the left get their sexual independence. Interesting comment. Sexual independence, banking elite. Owen Lloyd Martin, how you doing, Owen? He's over there in Portugal. I hope you're okay, mate. They are names. They're all names made to divide and conquer. Nazis, far right, white Pendragons, all black power, all names. That's Owen Lloyd Martin. Good point there. And a few quotes about Tommy Robinson as well. A few points about Tommy Robinson.
Positive, I hope.
Well, perhaps not positive. Mahatma malevolence. Right, there we go. That's Mahatma malevolence. He says Stephen Yaxley, Lenin, stroke Middle East Forum, stroke Lord Pearson. You're all being played by the landed gentry. So I don't know exactly. See, I'm no good at reading these out. I'm absolutely useless at reading these out. I think probably what we'll do is when we've got some more comments, we'll go over to Andy and get Andy to read them out, because I always get a bit all confused and stuff. But yeah, like you say, everything seems to be upside down. I mean, even when we get to boys, boys will be boys. Well, not anymore. You probably get done for saying that these days, wouldn't you?
Yeah, all this trans stuff that's coming in. It's just madness in it that it's happening at the same time as well as all the other stuff. You know, we're trying to fight against mass immigration. It's almost like a joke. They're like, oh, let's give them this to think about as well. Let's start teaching all their children trans and gender fluid, and let's invent more ways to be beta. Yeah, again, it's insane. I think it's intentional. It feels like a punishment, you know, for Brexit. We'll teach all your kids trans just as a punishment. I mean, it's just madness. And a school in Bolton the other day, after the 6-week holidays, when the kids have gone back, they've turned the toilets into neutral toilets without even telling the parents. You know, and the parents have gone back, and there was poor little girls who didn't want to go to the toilet because there's boys in there, because they've been turned into neutral toilets without telling the parents. This is, again, it's insane. How can you do something like that without informing the parents? It's weird. The parents, the kids belong to the parents, not the state. They're our kids. Leave them alone, or at least ask us, because they're going to start in 2019. They're going to start teaching this LBGT rubbish in primary schools.
Wow.
They're teaching it in primary schools. You know, when kids are already young and vulnerable, and they haven't, you know, let kids have their own self-discovery. Let them grow up, and if they're trans or lesbian or gay, let them sort of, you know, discover that on their own. But by teaching it in schools that, you know, people are trans and bi, and it's a primary school, you know, at least wait till they're 15 or something, you know, gone through puberty. But it's just mad to teach primary school kids them. It's just going to confuse them and create more gays. I'm sure of it. You know, it's going to create more, which is what they want. I think, you know, then they go into a little group. Oh, you're gay, so you belong to that group, the gay community. You're against the right. Shouldn't teach this stuff, and parents need to get down to the schools and do something about it. It can't be left to just, you know, movements like this, and, you know, 50 lads from the EDL turn up outside the school. It should be the parents that go down and do something. And I know some parents have, you know, some parents have gone down to the schools and kicked off about this sort of stuff. There was a woman in another school. Her son came back from school, and he's in the 4th year. I'm not sure how old that would make him, but he hadn't even started their sex education lessons yet. And he came home, and he'd been taught about, you know, gays and lesbians and bi and stuff. And he told his mum, and she was absolutely fuming. You know, certain things should be left down to the mums and dads. I mean, are we just useless mums and dads now? Do we play no part? I mean, surely things could be left up to us. It's our child. I'll teach my child about gays and lesbians when I see it fit. And the school should just back off and leave them alone. And politicizing the kids as well. That's happening at the same time. They're politicizing them. They're talking politics now when they're 14. I mean, you know, you're meant to be learning maths and science and geography, things to help you, you know, get a job. But teaching them, you know, politics, one-sided, biased views on politics. Like my daughter's teacher told the class that she doesn't like Trump. You know, why are you saying this to the kids? And then all the kids coming from school, I don't like Trump. I mean, yeah, it starts early. You know, the left, you know, they're getting in and they're brainwashing the kids. You know, it's a long drawn out plan. Get in now, tell all the kids, you know, that Trump's bad and racist and Tommy Robinson's racist, and they leave school just believing all this crap. And then they start uni in their multicultural classrooms, and then they won't dare say anything controversial, will they? Because then they're racist or homophobic.
All these labels. I mean, there's absolutely millions of them now, and you could be called anything. You could be called absolutely anything. And of course, all the arguments against it, they've all been sort of they've been ridiculed. Let's just say, for a start, someone called you racist, and you said, "Oh, I can't be because, you know, I'm married to a black woman."
Yeah,
you know, then that's sort of, it's dismissed, if you know what I mean. You can still be right, you can still be this, you still be that, and that once that label's there, it's stuck as well, isn't it? You know, it's in a public arena.
Yeah, you wear it forever. Yeah, you get called. Oh, a massive spider's just walked in the room. I don't like spiders. A massive spider.
Oh, you're not scared of spiders, are you?
Yeah, I don't like spiders. It's absolutely massive. Oh God, I'll try and ignore it.
Well, tell it to be quiet anyway.
It's absolutely huge. I saw it out the corner of my eye, just crawling in. I thought it was one of the cats. She's gone under the cat basket. But yeah, the word racist, you know, it's a horrible thing to call somebody. You know, it puts all your opinions straight in the bin. You could say some, you know, really clever points about this, that, and the other, and mass immigration and all the thing, and they just go, "Oh, you're racist." And it's just like, "Oh, right, yeah, I just judge everybody on their race." Yeah. You know, it's insane. Racism really doesn't exist. I mean, it exists. I separate things into two things. I think there's the world, there's the reality, what actually we see and what is actually happening. And then there is the world of words. And in the world of words, yes, racism exists because it's all we hear. Racist, 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 racist. But when you actually look at on the streets, you know, when's the last time I saw or anybody saw a gang of white lads beating minorities up? It didn't happen. And if it did happen, it'd be on the news for 6 months. But it's not on the news because it's not happening. So there's no white gangs going around beating minorities up. And when's the last time you ever saw a white bloke, you know, using the N-word, shouting to a black bloke, calling it? Doesn't happen. In fact, I'm 37 years old. I don't think I've ever seen it. You know, the reality of racism, it doesn't exist. But in the world, you know, in the world of words, like I said, yeah, it exists. You know, we hear it every single day. Everyone's a racist. But in reality, you know, point to it. Actually point to real racism. It's hard to point out.
Well, the only thing I can, you've definitely displayed a blatant case of arachnophobia. So I don't know if that's similar to Islamophobia, or whether the spiders, whether the spider is, what's the fucking word when they get, what's the word I'm thinking of? I'm thinking offended. I hope the spider wasn't offended, else you could be in big trouble.
Well, he did hide under the cat basket. But yeah, Islamophobia, just touching on that, you know, it is a made-up word. And again, it's just to counter our retort when we say, well, what race is Islam? So I'm not a racist. So then they invent Islamophobia. So you defend one point, well, I'm not a racist because I'm talking about Islam and Islam's not a race. And then they go, oh, you're Islamophobic then. So it's like, oh right, I have to be something, don't I? And it's not a real word because, as many have said before me, you know, a phobia is an irrational fear of something. Like that, me sort of like being scared of a spider. It is pretty irrational because it's just a spider, isn't it? It's not gonna hurt me. But I just don't like the way they walk. So arachnophobia is a real thing. You know, it's an irrational fear of something. But to fear Islam, how can that be deemed irrational when it does call for the death of maybe you and other people, and it does carry it out as well, and people are dying because of it? How is that irrational to fear that? It's insane. So the word Islamophobia it's not a word. It's not, and that's not just my opinion. It's just not a word. It doesn't stand up as a word, whether people want it to or not. It's just not a word. But you know, well, it's like, go on.
Well, I was just going to say it's like homophobia. I mean, I don't think people have just irrationally been afraid of gay people. You don't come across it. I don't come across it. I've never come across it. When we were growing up, and you did some like this is what's been our kids have lost. When we were growing up, if there'd have been somebody saying I need to go into a safe area, or anything like that, then you'd punch him on the arms. Yeah, shut up, you big puff, and that's the way that we dealt with it. And as a kid, you learnt that, if you were feeling a bit, perhaps, I'm a bit weepy or whatever, you hid it. You didn't burden your mates with it, because you knew the response that you'd get from them. So, this more caring, pandering, it just creates more victims. It's more people saying, that person over there, I don't like the way they looked at me. I need to go into like we've been talking about the other day, universities and safe areas. It's just a complete. We've got a real pussy generation.
Yeah, we have, and I think that's what they want. They want pussies. The government want pussies, and they also want to appear as the mum and dad. So they want to replace the mum and dad and sort of like appeal to these students, like, oh look, we're going to give you trans rights. We're going to make it homophobic for you to be called names. We're going to make it Islamophobic for your religion to be spoke about. They want to come across as the savior. And people like you and me, I don't need government intervention. I don't need any help. I just go through my life and I deal with things, when I need to deal with them. But all this on the student, that's what it is. It's creating this atmosphere of they need, intervention from the government to help them. And then they go, thank you, government, for, making it, homophobic to call me names. Thank you, government. And it just creates this whole generation of people thinking that they need the government a lot more than we actually do.
and people, as a result, end up self-censoring as well. You will. I know this is. But in a situation, you will censor. People will censor themselves and not actually say what it is that's on the mind in case they offend somebody, and that's just not a right way to be living your life.
No, it stops debate, and fear is paralyzing, isn't it? Fear is paralyzing. I went into just about every butcher's in Sheffield in the town centre, and I went in and just says, is your chicken halal? And it's amazing how many people don't ask. They just go in and buy the chicken. And I went into a sandwich shop and I says, oh, is your chicken halal? And then this Muslim woman walked in, like the hijab or whatever it's called on her head. And I felt it myself. I felt the censorship grab hold of me of like, oh, I can't say that now because I might offend her. So I had to sort of like force myself to repeat it. And I said to the woman, oh, is it halal? And she was sort of like looking a bit shocked and uncomfortable. And she went, oh, yeah, it is halal. So I says, oh, right, well, I don't eat halal. But I was so conscious that this Muslim woman stood there because I'm not trying to offend her. I don't want her to feel that, I'm a racist. But because, if you're against halal, you're racist. If you want Brexit, you're racist. These people may believe it as well. They may believe the news that just because I don't want to eat halal, I'm far right. But I'm just trying to stand up for what I believe in. I don't want to eat halal meat. So I just says, oh, I'll have a cheese sandwich then. and I got the sandwich and I walked out. But you know, I felt it myself, you know, and I'm a pretty much stand-up guy, but I even felt that, you know, it grip hold of you, that uncomfortableness. And no one wants that in a social situation. You don't want it to be uncomfortable. So people just take the easy route and just buy it, you know. And especially if there's a Muslim stood there, you know, they're just not going to speak up and say, oh, I don't want to eat halal. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, fear is paralyzing.
Yeah, it's a bit like not wanting to offend a vegetarian simply because you eat meat. You know, it like you say, it's self-paralyzing. You do find yourself looking at your environment, looking about and I'm pretty much, I'll say what I mean. Sorry about my language, but I'll say what I mean, and it's got me in so much trouble over years. But I, you know, just because somebody's bigger than me and you know, they're threatening to give me a thick ear, then I'm gonna. I'll still say it. I always have done. I've always been the same. But you know, other people. I find because now I'm disabled, and I'll say things like when I went to the doctors to have my blood tested every week, and I went for a blood test, and I said to the woman, she said, "Oh, you've come on your crutches." I said, "Oh, no, I've come in on my crutches, but I've left my spaz chariot outside." "Oh, you can't, don't say that. You can't say that. You can't." I said, but that's what it is. It's my spaz chariot. You know, my disabled badge. That's my spaz badge. Nobody, there's absolutely nobody can say anything that's going to offend me. Someone could walk up to me and say, "You fucking silly one-legged bastard," and just say, "All right, mate. See you later. I'm off," and carry on my mobility scooter. So, but we still self-censor, and it's really something that we should. There should be some sort of campaign that say what you mean, and to hell with the consequences. You know, don't deliberately. I'm not talking about going out and deliberately calling somebody a name or doing so, or you know what I mean. But if you see somebody, ask a question. You know,
if you know in your heart, I know in my heart, you see, that I'm not a racist, I'm not far right. I know it in my heart, so I can just speak freely. I don't really have to censor what I'm saying because I know what I feel, I know what I believe in. Do you know what I mean? So I that's why I'm able to just turn up at that meeting and just speak from the cuff and just say exactly what I think and answer any question that comes towards me, or because I know what's in my heart. I know I'm not a racist. So if people know that you're not something, then just speak your mind. If you know you're not homophobic, but two blokes are on the back of the bus kissing, you know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with turning away from that and going, "Oh God, I don't really want to look at that." Do you know what I mean? On my way to work, two blokes kissing. There's nothing wrong with feeling like that. But in this generation, you're made to feel as if, oh, there's a problem with me. I don't like the sight of two men, you know, tonguing each other on the bus. That means I'm homophobic. There's something wrong with me. People need to be taught, no, you know, there's nothing wrong with who you are. There's nothing wrong with if you don't like multiculturalism, for example. If you don't like mass immigration, there's nothing wrong with you. You're not Islamophobic. You're not racist. You're not homophobic. There's nothing wrong with you. The problem's not us. Feel what you feel and then say it.
Yeah, I'm a huge advocate for that, and people who listen to this radio show will probably realise that I do say sometimes to my own detriment. But yes, like you said, people need to be more honest. It's like we're all wearing a mask, and nobody wants to let the mask down, because if they let the mask down, particularly somebody who's in the public eye, just look at Jeremy Corbyn and all the amount of anti-Semitic nonsense that has been chucked his way. You know, it's clearly all complete and utter nonsense, but it just won't go away, and it's like a daily drip until it becomes embedded in popular culture that Jeremy Corbyn is anti-Semitic.
Well, if you repeat something so many times, I mean, it becomes true, doesn't it? I'm not going to sit here and stand up for Jeremy Corbyn because I can't stand him. But I think what they do with our politics, you know, they make it about the people instead of the policies. And it ends up being EastEnders. And you turn politics on now and they'll spend 10 seconds talking about the policies. And then they'll spend 20 minutes talking about, like you said, oh, Jeremy Corbyn said this. Or Nigel Farage said this. He's racist. He's Islamophobic. And then they'll spend most of the time sort of like it's EastEnders or something. You know, this is not EastEnders. We shouldn't be wrapped up in the characters involved. We should be concentrating on the policies that these people are putting forward. Do you know what I mean? And it's the same with America. You know, it's all about the person, not what he's doing. Oh, he did this. He said this in 1964. So, you know, he's rubbish. Can't listen to him. And instead of actually looking at what these people represent and what they want to do, it becomes about people, not policy.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I mean, it is a lot of nonsense that passes. It's like there's some sort of film going off. There's a guy that we've interviewed. I think it was our very first Raconteurs News interview, and he wrote a book, and he's got a word for it. He calls it the Global Motion Picture Stage Show. So everyone's an actor, and it's all being played out. Everyone plays their own part, and whilst they'll not stand there and say I'm an actor, really they are, aren't they? Because if you've got a job, you've got to act in that job. In other words, you've got to act in a manner to which you're expected to your behaviour to a certain standard. So, like you say, it's like watching EastEnders a lot of the time. I think we're about 5 minutes from the top of the hour. So what we're going to do is we usually have a couple of records around about this time, so we can have a comfort break and go for a whiz and what have you, and then we'll get back into some of these deep issues. I want to pick your brains on Brexit as well, what you think's going on there. So we'll do that in the second hour. I think we've got a couple of records lined up. Is there any other comments, interesting comments in the comments section, Andy?
Well, what I thought I'd do, Jason, is leave the comments till after the break, and then we can go into the comments after the break, and you can go wherever they take you. So we've got a bit of a slightly longer than normal music break tonight, and we can blame Super Leads for that. We've got a couple of rap songs, which we don't normally play. The first one's a request for Daniel Hay, and the second one is for Super Leads. So we're going to have 7, 11, 12 minutes break. So we'll be back in about 12 minutes, folks.
We're still live on Google Hangouts, aren't we? Yeah, we're still live, Dave, on Google Hangouts. So, you know, don't say out you won't say while you're alive.
Right. Can they still hear us, can they?
They can on Google Hangouts, yeah. We're having a music break at the moment.
Ah, right, but not on the radio thing. Oh, okay.
Yeah, but not on the speaker. So you get your center, go and drain your main vein or whatever you need to do.
All the smoke.
Take me.
And welcome back to Raconteurs News. I hope you enjoyed those music breaks. Thanks for that, Leeds. Leeds always likes to put long records on, and so we've played them for him tonight. And also, I'd just like to mention as well, Friday night's game, Leeds. We were very, very lucky, mate. If it wasn't for the absolute screamer goal of the season, I don't think we'd have got anything out of that. Leeds played really well. I was impressed. On us even, we'll call it a draw. I know you wanted to have a pint on it, but we'll just have to buy each other half, I guess. Okay, well, welcome back. It's the 1st of October in 2018, and we're joined tonight by Dave Sumner, an activist who came to my attention a couple of weeks ago. I've had a beer with him, a thoroughly nice guy. We don't agree on everything. In fact, but I think I could safely say that there are more things that we agree on than we disagree on. Welcome back, Dave. How you doing, mate? How was your break?
Yeah, nice, mate. Yeah, I just had a piss.
Excellent. Listen, I try to. People who listen to this radio show regularly will know that my toilet habits are usually public knowledge, but I've been trying to have a slash for the last. I tried to have 2 before the show started, and I couldn't because I thought if I push it, I'm going to get something from the other end as well. We'd only got a couple of minutes before we were going on air, and then I decided to have a try at break time, and still the same. So I didn't have time to get on my commode, so I'm having to hold it on. So you're very fortunate to have had a piss because I couldn't have one.
Yours are definitely public knowledge now.
Oh, listen, one day, next time I have a pint, I'll tell you the Morrison story. It's awesome. Anyway, before we went to the break, we were speaking with Andy, and we were talking about some of the comments. So, shall we get some of these comments read out, Andy? So, while we start this, at the start of this,
sure.
It was your idea. Don't look so surprised.
No, I'm not surprised. I'm just kind of in the middle of something, that's all. We've got Joan Gill is the top. I've copied a few comments because, to be honest, the chat room is going bonkers tonight. First comment from Joan. Thank you, Joan. While Kavanagh was being questioned, Trump was meeting with 5G reps and promising them he would assist in getting it rolled out, even though we all should know by now it will cause omnicide. Mahat Malevolence, wing, left wing, right wing, 2 cheeks of the same hairy stinking arse. Owen Lloyd Martin, me too. Has this guy got friends of colour leads? Tony's asking, can you ask Dave, does Tommy serve Israel first or England? You can't serve 2 masters. And Lops, take him out of school then. That was about, presumably about the comments about what they're doing in school. Joan, question for the guest, is he aware of the Kalergi plan? And Mahat Malevolence, why does Tommy Robinson focus solely on brown nonces and ignore all the white British Christian ones? How's that to be going on with?
Yeah. Which one shall I answer first?
Take him in any order you like, Dave.
Do I have black friends or coloured friends, whatever they said? My best mate is a black bloke called George. I call him my best mate. I haven't seen him for ages, but you know, I met him on a building site, and he's 6'9". He's absolutely massive, and he's the nicest bloke I've ever met in my life. I've brought it up in debates with these lefties when have you got black friends? And you say, yeah, my best friend's a black bloke. And and they just ignore you anyway. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. Like he said, even if you're married to a black person, it means nothing. You know, it's down to them to label you. So I don't even bother saying it anymore. And I grew up with black kids as well. Shout out to Jamie Kane, again, who was my best mate growing up. Because when you're a kid, you don't see colour. I never even saw him as a black kid. It's only when you get older I thought, oh yeah, they were black, but he was just my best mate, you know. And I'm a rapper, and I've been rapping since I was 12, and it is down to my child, you know, growing up with him and his two brothers, Mark and Adam. And he introduced me to NWA. You know, we used to sneak into his bedroom when his mum and dad had gone out, and we'd put NWA on and stuff. So yeah, and I've had Muslim friends as well, called Mohammed, you know, in workplaces. Gunstons, I worked at Gunstons, which is 90% Muslims. You know, the whole place is Muslims. The supervisors are Muslims, and I got a job there, and I get along with Muslims and black people. You know, it's a bit of a daft question, really. Does he have black friends? So,
well,
you know,
can I just jump in there? Howard's just commented. He says, "I'm not a lefty. I'm black."
Oh right. Is that
Very
the guy
nice as well?
Pardon?
He said he's a very nice bloke as well. We've had him on Raconteurs News. He lives out in Portugal off grid. What a great fella. So we've got here at Raconteurs News, we've got black friends. Yeah. And I've got a black and white cat, so that's mixed race. So you know, we can't be accused of anything around here. Dave, one of the other points was about Tommy Robinson and his connections to Israel. Are you aware of that? And what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I've heard about it, but I've just ignored it, to be honest. You know, I'm not going to start looking into something I know is just complete dead end. It's a load of rubbish. So yeah, I can't really comment on that. I just know that he's fighting for this country and solely this country, and his connections to the Jews and whether he's controlled by the Jews. It's just, you know, foil hat stuff. It's a load of rubbish.
I do remember though. If you remember when we met for a beer, we were just sat talking, and you were talking about these Antifa, or these students, I think that they were protesting and then you said they were all waving Palestinian flags, and then there's me with my hand going up like that to cover up the pin badge that I'd got of a Palestinian badge, a flag, pin badge. Yeah. So I were a bit wary about asking you that one.
Well, no, I mean, I don't really know a lot. I mean, there's other people that know a lot more about me when it comes to Jerusalem and Palestine and stuff. I mean, so, you know, I can't really talk. I mean, all I know is, like I said to you last time, there's a lot of hatred on both sides, maybe. But, you know, I've seen videos where the Palestinians teach their children, you know, to hate Jews and want to kill Jews and stuff. So it's just it's a situation that's just going to keep going around in circles until they start teaching the kids, you know, to think different.
Well, I tell you what, let's move on from a very, very difficult subject to one that's pretty easy. Let's talk about Brexit. What do you make of Brexit, and what the shenanigans that are going on at the moment with this deal or no deal fucking bollocks? I keep expecting Noel Edmonds to pop up any minute with a box, and like here inside this box, this is a Brexit deal or no deal. Oh yeah, you know. Oh no, you knackered it. What the fucking hell is going on?
I know, it's madness, mate. It's been 2 years, hasn't it now? And I remember when we won Brexit, I was on a building site working with Big George, my best mate. But yeah, I remember climbing on this roof and I shouted, you know, off this roof. I was so happy that we'd won Brexit. I couldn't believe it. I was singing and happy. It was, you know, in 2 years on, and we haven't left yet. And now there's talk of a second referendum. I mean, it's disgusting. The people have spoken. We've already spoken. And then they're doing polls, you know, or the latest poll says this because we've asked 100 students just to, you know what I mean? 62%. It's just a load of rubbish. I mean, the people have spoken. And our government, they're just custodians of this country. They don't own this country. The country belongs to us. It's our country. And they're just custodians. They're just, they're meant to do our bidding. That's why it's a democracy. So, yeah, all I can do is live and hope, that we're going to get, a proper Brexit with the main things that we want: secure borders and, being able to trade with the whole world and not, have to deal with all the European red tape and all that crap.
Well, I saw. I keep seeing these articles and these news. In fact, I watched this morning. I watched. I was up quite early, 5:30 this morning, busting for a poo. So I then came downstairs and left my wife. I didn't want to disturb her because she only got a couple of hours before she was up for work. So I came down and I put some BBC News on, and there was all the question. I think they got the guy from Ford. Yeah. The guy from Ford. And they were asked, it was because of these engines that have been, these cars that have been recalled, they kept catching on fire, right? Got nothing to do with Brexit. That's a recall, a fault on cars. They're all being recalled. Some have set on fire. And she managed, that Steph woman, that I think she's from Middlesbrough or somewhere. That they've also now turned into a bloke. The last question she asked was, and how is Brexit going to affect us? How is Brexit going to affect Ford in this country? Brexit. I saw an article the other day where it said there's going to be chaos. There's going to be absolute chaos at airports. People going on holiday, they're not going to be able to go on holiday. People went on holiday before we were in the EU. People went on holiday, and what are they going to do? Are the European countries, are they so spiteful that they're going to bite the nose off to spite the face? Because the amount of money brought in from UK tourists, I think it's what keeps Spain going. I think Spain would just disintegrate if it weren't for British tourists. The reality of it is, fuck all's going to happen. Everything's going to work the way that it's always worked. We're just going to have control over our own borders and our own laws.
Yeah, surely any country would want that. Why would anybody?
I think we've lost you.
All right.
Sorry, Dave.
Am I back?
I think you're back, yeah.
Why would anybody willingly give power of your country over to, unelected people in another country? Again, it's insane. That's insane to want that. Surely you'd want, we're proud that it's a democracy, or it's supposed to be. I mean, it's definitely not a democracy, this country. I mean, all we do is we elect a dictator. We just get the privilege of doing that, and then they do whatever they want. And that's been proven. The smoking ban. The people weren't asked about that. The people aren't asked about whether we want, gender taken off kids' clothes in shops. They just do it. We're not asked about any important issues, whether we want transgender and bi and gender fluid taught in our schools. No, they just do it. We're not asked whether we want to go to war with Iraq. No, they just do it. So all we do is vote a dictator, and then we think, oh yeah, this is democracy. That's partly parcel why we have terrorism, because people come here from abroad, and because it's a democracy, they think, well, you must have voted to bomb our country. So they willingly, mount curbs and kill civilians and kill us because they think we voted for all this. We wanted all this because it's a democracy. But they don't, they've been fooled as well, because it's actually not. We don't get a say in anything in this country.
Well, there is a point of view that a lot of these incidents that are called terrorist incidents aren't really terrorist incidents, and there is a certain amount of people that we've, including people we've had on this show, who would say that there are holes in all of these stories. The official version of what happened very rarely is.
What? Yeah, they say it's mental illness. That's the new thing, isn't it? Anything that happens that's a terrorist attack, it's now become, they're just mentally ill. I mean,
can you still hear us there, Andy?
I can hear you, yeah.
I'm just having one of. Can you hear me, Andy? I'm just having one or two problems. I don't know whether it's my internet here or what, but I'm just sort of getting some blanking out.
No, it's sounding pretty
Is
good.
everything okay your end?
Yeah, it's fine my end, so it must be your end, mate.
Right, okay, must be my end then. It's probably because there's stuff going on in this house. There's so much internet activity, but yeah, it's just making it a little bit. It's a little bit fractured for me at this end. So bear with me if I'm breaking up or anything like that.
But
No,
just now you are. But just going back to that quickly. The word terrorist attack, it's just a word anyway. I mean, if someone mounts a curb and kills 6 people or kills 3 people, I think I've gone off. I've gone off.
No,
Oh, he's back.
I
can hear you. Yeah, you're breaking up a bit.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're all here, Jason. It might be an idea for you to knock your camera off because it looks like you're having trouble with your Wi-Fi, mate.
I've turned my camera off now.
Sounds better.
Any better?
Yeah, sounds much better, mate.
Right, I might be able to hear you two now. I've had to turn my camera off, Dave.
It's okay, mate.
My stepson's upstairs. He's probably got about 15 different things going on.
But yeah, what I was saying is, the word, whether they deem it a terrorist attack or not, doesn't really matter. What matters is 6 people are dead because someone mounted a curb. No matter really what you call it, does it? I mean, I'd call it a terrorist attack, and someone might not, but 6 people are dead. That's the important thing, and we want to stop it. We want to stop more deaths and more murder. So I'm not really interested in what it's called.
Well, yeah, I suppose that's it's just a difficult place here for us because we're on this show. We do have a lot of guests who come on and that investigate these terrorist attacks, and many times there are holes in them, and there is usually there's some sort of intelligence link to the people that are usually blamed by it. But I mean, again, this is not your area of expertise. I just wanted to let you know where we are on that. I mean, we generally tend to view terrorist attacks with suspicion that they're perhaps not, and it's again the media using things, because we've already agreed the media use things. The media do make things up. They do obfuscate, and they do distract people away as well. Just out of interest, how many people were down for when Tommy Robinson was we're going to court on Thursday last week? Because I know that I think they said there were about 150 people. That was the BBC. What was your experience of that?
Well, it's quite hard to count so many people, but I'd say there was sort of like 700 minimum. But they also said there was 200. Oh no, this is when I went to Sunderland. We come into contact with Antifa or whatever you want to call them, a group of leftists, and there was no more than 25 of them. And then when I read in one of the newspapers, it said there was 250 of them. I couldn't believe it. So yeah, you can't pay any attention to these lies, and every time they do it, they just reveal themselves as corrupt and liars. If you want to say that there was 100 people there, 150 people there, then that's all you're doing. You're making us even more right. You're like, oh right, so the BBC do definitely lie then. Why can't they just report the truth and say there was 700 there minimum?
Well, I think they probably prefer not to report on it at all, because there was probably so much disruption in the centre of London that they couldn't really ignore it. But we do know that we know that they lie. They just tell lies. they protect these pedo politicians. I mean, what about the politicians that are in Parliament? I think there's a huge amount of them that are on the sex offenders register.
Well, yeah, that's probably true, mate. You know, and the BBC, you know, and the police. Look at that police. I don't know his name, but that whistleblower, you know, who found 90 paedophiles operating in barges, you know, on the canal. I don't know whether you heard about that story. And when he reported it to his superiors, they told him, you know, to leave it alone. This goes right to the top. Leave it alone. So yeah, there's definitely, you know, paedophiles in high up places with power.
Would that be John Wedger that you're talking about?
Is that the officer's name?
Yeah, the whistleblower, the police whistleblower, because we've had him on.
Oh right, yeah, it could be him. Yeah, with the grey hair, is it white hair?
Yeah, Andy probably remember. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's John Wedger. That yeah, we've had John Wedger on here on Raconteurs News. Interesting guy.
Yeah. They threatened to take his kids away and everything. You know, if he spoke about it. I mean, this is scary stuff.
What they do, isn't it?
Pardon?
This is what they do. It's a bullying campaign. No matter what it is, they'll bully the way to getting what they want.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to just mention Melanie Shaw, since we're on the subject, because she's another whistleblower who's been put in prison, and she's in prison right now. I think she's been in 2 years or something, and she spent months and months and months in solitary confinement, just because she's a whistleblower, and she knows, you know, she knows stuff. So they just put her in prison. You know, this is the country we live in. This is scary stuff. This is real.
We were aware of Melanie Shaw. In fact, it's been going on for quite a while. I unearthed an old interview that I did from 2014 when I just went to Rotherham for I think I told you about it when we were when we met for a beer. But I did an interview with the mother of somebody who'd been involved in the child abuse scandal. And we mentioned Melanie Shaw then, so that's back in 2014. So this has been going on for quite a long time, the Melanie Shaw situation. And I did notice that Tommy Robinson had got a free Melanie Shaw poster in front of him, which will probably conflict a lot of people that, you know, disagree with Tommy Robinson but are aware of the Melanie Shaw situation. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and again, respect to Tommy, you know, for thinking of others again. Same as Tracy Blackwell, you know, she's got a dead child, and you know, she's always thinking of other people. That's the 3 boys that, you know, died when that car mounted the curb. I don't want to appear confrontational, but just going back to what you said about, you know, these terrorist attacks are sometimes, you know, staged or whatever you were trying to suggest. But what about that then, you know, with the 3 boys? Because that was deemed not a terrorist attack. I mean, surely if they want to, you know, pretend that there's more terrorist attacks happening than there is, and that was deemed not a terrorist attack. Do you know what I mean?
I'm not familiar with the case. I'm not familiar with the case. The only ones, listen, I sit here and I talk to different people who've got different points of view on different things. And whilst, you know, if I agree with somebody, I will tell them that I agree with them. But if I disagree, and I was just putting a point that there is a number of people we've had on the show have written loads of different books about various terrorist incidents. I mean, and we've had several people on that have done in-depth analysis. Now, I'm not party to their in-depth analysis. All I can do is interview them and ask them pertinent questions, which is what I'm trying to do with you. And I'm just trying to say, because a lot of people that listen to us will immediately, and this is wrong, but whenever there is, when something does happen, it's almost as if we're very skeptical very early on, and we'd like to, rather than just accept, because we've already accepted the BBC are lying fuckers, and they'll do anything for their own ends or what have you. And if that's something that they've been like, when they on 9/11, for example, when the BBC reported that Building 7 had fallen 25 minutes before it had. Do you know what I mean? We know that this stuff goes on. So that's the point I'm making. You don't, please, if you want to disagree with me, don't think you're being confrontational, because you know, that's what we're here for, to have a discussion about these things.
Yeah, I just thought I'd raise that point, because, you know, things happen where they go the opposite way and they say it's not a terrorist attack, when others say, I think it is. But yeah, back to Melanie Shaw, though. I mean, you know, big props for Tommy, you know, again, for, you know, having that sign and bringing yet more attention to it, which is why I've chosen to bring her name up as well, because this lady needs help. I mean, she's done nothing wrong. She's a whistleblower, you know, and it's just more evidence that this country is very evil. Like, the government did try and kill Tommy Robinson, or at least put his life in immediate danger, and that was done intentionally, by putting him in a maximum security prison, which housed Muslims that were in there. I think they were serving 25 years each, because they were found on their way to kill Tommy Robinson. I mean, you couldn't make it up. And they decided to put Tommy in the same prison as them. I mean, if that's not an attempt on his life, I don't know what is. This country is evil. Oh
yeah, but it goes under the guise of being a democracy, like we were talking about earlier. You were talking about democracy earlier on. It's not a democracy here. It's how can having a choice between Theresa May and Jeremy Corbyn, how can that be democracy? You know, nobody in the right mind would want either.
No, yeah, working men are kept out of politics. They're completely kept out of it. I mean, they talk about diversity and they get more blacks in there and more Muslims in there. I mean, what about getting more working class people? You know, why can't I go in there? You know, why can't, you know, Westminster be full of 50 blokes like me? You know, that would be more a democracy. It's not diverse at all. You know, we're kept, working class people are kept out. Even Nigel Farage is looked down on by others. Do you know what I mean? By the way he talks and stuff. I mean, Jesus, they'd hate me.
I'm sure they would. I'm sure they would, Dave. I'm sure. I think that ate the pair of us. I mean, I think we probably could set it alight, you know, at Parliament between us if we were to have a debate in there, because, well, they can't call each other liars when it's clear that they are lying. You should be. It's a democracy. It's supposed to be a democracy. Somebody should be able to say, "You fucking lying bastard." That's not true. What you just said is a lie. You are lying. But again, it's like these tricks that they play with. Oh, it's tradition. It's how it's always been done, as if how it's always been done. If it's not working, you've still got to carry on doing it. You know, like I've said, democracy, for a true democracy, you should have a system where people are called up, like the electoral roll. You're called up to become an MP. You serve your 4 years as an MP. You get paid an MP's salary. If the amount of money that you were earning before is more than an MP salary, you get paid that equivalent. Because once we start getting some really, really thick people into these positions, would soon sort out the education system, because you just don't know what's going to be coming up next. And so, you know, that's the old Greek version of democracy, is where you're called up and you do your time. Not everybody does it, because obviously there's only 650 MPs. But you know, it would at least be some sort of democracy.
Yeah, some sort of lottery system. You know, just someone picked at random or something, like how they pick juries for jury service. You know, it should be random. You know, pick random people, you know, 20 of them or something, just at least have some sort of representation in there. But they fool us by saying, you know, oh, I'll represent you. So we all go, yeah, they'll represent us. But, you know, they don't. We need more working class people in there for it to be more to be considered diverse, but they just won't allow it.
Well, we are the majority.
Oh yeah, by far. There's millions of us, isn't there? No, there's 65, 70 million people in this country. That's the joke of it all, and it's all down to a few hundred to just drag this country in whatever direction they want to. And even when we have a massive Brexit vote and 17 point whatever it were million people say we want out, 2 years later we still ain't gone out. I mean, maybe this 17 million should just walk down there and just, you know, take over and say we want our country back. Thank you.
Yeah, drag them out.
Yeah, and kick them all out. I mean, if that's what it's going to take, I mean, why not? It's our country. It belongs to the people. It's our country. And just touching on mass immigration again, the people were never asked. We were never asked if we wanted mass immigration. You know what I mean? We would have voted no. I can guarantee you that. We would have voted no to mass immigration. I mean, I'm not against immigration because, you know, if I want to go and live in Spain, then, you know, I want to be free to be able to do that. But I'm against mass immigration. And we would have voted no to that. But again, we weren't asked. We're never asked about these issues, the really important ones. We're not asked. That's not a democracy. Just do what they want.
No, it's a corporatocracy, and it's forever being taken over. I mean, look at the NHS for a start. I mean, the NHS is on its knees at the moment, and again, it's as well. It's a given. I'd say it's as though it's been done on purpose, but for me, it's a given that it's been done on purpose. That then they can privatise things, and we end up with huge bills for our healthcare, which, to be fair, I'm not really looking forward to. Not with what I have to have.
Well, yeah, going down the American route, innit? But again, the NHS, you know, it belongs to the people, doesn't it? You know, it's something we're meant to be very proud of. But again, that comes, as far as I'm concerned, that comes back to mass immigration. I mean, you can't flood a country with millions more people or hundreds of thousands of more people and then start scratching your head when, you know, services are struggling. I mean, it's just obvious. It's simple math.
Yeah. And of course, we also get the social problems that mass immigration brings as well. Here in Sheffield, we've got an area called Page Hall. I'm sure you're well aware of Page Hall, and it's right next to the Northern General Hospital. So we drive through it quite often, and you know, you feel as though you have to lock your doors on your car. It is. I don't care what anybody thinks of me for that, but that's just how it is. You just the problems that they've got there. I mean, there was rioting at a school last week. I sent you the link at Furvale School. That's near Page Hall, isn't it?
Yeah, I saw it, mate. Yeah, it's in Page Hall. I'm still waiting to find out exactly what it was about. I mean, I've heard there was meant to be a fight in the school, and then the school locked the school down, apparently. So when the parents turned up, then the parents started kicking off because their kids were, you know, locked inside the school. And I think anyway, that's as far as I know, that's all it kicked off about. But I don't know, you know, why it kicked off inside, what the fight was about.
Oh, right. It was something to do with the girl in a headscarf, apparently.
Right, was it?
So I don't know, but again, it's another example. I mean, that area is it's literally all immigrants in it. Page Hall, one or two people that still live there, that have lived there for years and years, but mostly it's immigrants, and these are the sort of social problems that
that come with mass immigration. Yeah, because immigration works, and the government know this. It's obvious, but immigration works when it's done slowly, because then the people that come into the country, they're forced in a way to adopt this country's culture. You're forced to learn English because you need to get a job. But when you do mass immigration en masse, it creates, you know, they ghettoize, and then they're in a situation where they don't need to learn English because they're surrounded by just their own people. So mass immigration stops integration, and they know this. So it's been done intentionally. It's been done on purpose to eradicate British culture. because obviously when an area becomes ghettoized and, you know, it's just full of Muslims and there's no white people there anymore because the white people move away, then British culture moves away with it. And we, you know, it becomes their culture. And if you're like me and you view our culture as better than theirs, then that's nothing to celebrate. To say goodbye, or there's no British culture in that area now, that's nothing to celebrate as far as I'm concerned.
Right, so you've not got anything against there being parts of other people's cultures, as long as the English, the British culture isn't lost, because that seems to be what you're implying, that the British culture is being lost. It's been.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that in any country there should be one main culture. You know, this is England. This is England. Do you know what I mean? This is not a multicultural melting pot of the world. This is England. This is Britain. And we have a fantastic culture here that took thousands of years to build. You know, this culture we have of freedom of speech and the suffragettes and all the things, the wars, the people that have died to get to where we have got now, to see it just, you know, be given away, and for thousands of people to just come here and then they're allowed to just completely, you know, ignore our culture and just adopt and just carry on as they were in their country. I mean, the reason why there is mass immigration in the first place is because it obviously isn't working where they came from. And if it's not working where they came from, so they come here en masse and they carry on living the way they did there, but it's already been proven to not work. That's why they've moved.
But what about it's not working there because our bombs have been raining down on their country and destroying their infrastructure. That's one of the reasons why there is a lot of immigration. I mean, mass immigration. You're talking about from Eastern Europe and stuff like that. That can be firmly placed at the door of the EU and the people that want this. But you've got to. There is an argument. In fact, I'd strongly give the argument that if we didn't destroy the infrastructure of these places by bombing the shit out of them so that we can nick the oil, then they wouldn't really be, you know, like I think there's a meme that says, "We're not here for your benefits, we're fleeing your bombs," and I'd agree with that sentiment.
Yeah, I'd agree with that to a point, but I'd also agree that it's a government's main priority to look after its own citizens. And if our government is guilty of dropping bombs on these countries, then don't invite them here. If we are actively over there bombing the shit out of them, like you say, then please don't invite these people here. Because if I go round to your house and smash your kitchen up, I'm not going to say to you that, oh, do you want to come round to my house and come in my kitchen? I'm not going to invite you, am I? Because I've just smashed your kitchen up. And the first thing you're going to do when you come to my house is smash my kitchen up. So if our government is guilty, like you said, bombing them, then please don't invite them here. And that's what's insane. Because, you know, if you're correct, we are bombing the shit out of them. Why then invite them here?
Right.
Because
they probably are. They've not been invited.
They're going to kill us.
A lot of immigrants that come from these war-torn areas, they don't come by. They're not invited. They usually get here by illegal means, don't they? They stay here when that's the government's fault. They you know, that when they find them and they're illegal immigrants, they don't deport them quick enough. The process is not quick enough. Again, another probably. Something that's deliberate, because then people like yourself get frustrated that this is not happening. There doesn't seem to be anything happening, and I think that serves the agenda of the government, of the people that are running the show. I said the government, I mean they're just puppets. The people running the show are nowhere near a television screen. You won't see them on a television screen very often. But, you know, it's. We can't, you know, we're responsible. We're the people. And the point we keep coming back to, this is our country. So ultimately, we're the ones that are responsible because we're allowing these people, these politicians to make decisions on our behalf, even though we've given them a direct order in the opposite direction. They're still pushing for a second referendum. They're still pushing to remain in the EU, and they're still pushing for the freedom of movement. Even if we leave, they still want the freedom of movement. You know, the customs union and all that sort of thing. It's you know, I just think
that's a definite no-no. That's a definite no-no. I think there will be riots in this country. You know, I definitely believe it. If they don't give us the main things that we want out of this Brexit, I firmly believe there's going to be riots. And if not riots, there's going to be, you know, it's going to create a country full of vigilante violence. It's going to leave the citizens of this country with a feeling that the government doesn't listen to us. We've voted, we've done we've done the right, you know, passage. You know, we've protested peacefully. We've used our vote, used our voice. If that is not enough, then what's left? There's nothing left but violence. So they have to give us the main Brexit, and giving us, you know, freedom movement of people still, that is just a massive no-no. That won't be accepted. Not by the people anyway. It might be accepted by the government, but not by the people.
Not by the majority.
We want secure borders. We want a safe country, like I said. Stop inviting these people. If we're bombing them and they're pissed off, can you please not invite them here, please? You know, that's what you've chosen to do. What's going on in France? Tell us about that. I've not seen very much on what's going on in France, but there does seem to be a lot of trauma in France going on at the moment. Yeah, well, I haven't swore a lot tonight, so I'll swear now, and that's France's fault. You know, I've seen on TV a cafe with just men in it, and it's a men-only cafe, and a woman went in there, and it was filmed, and she was told to get out. This is a men-only cafe. I mean, this is France. This is not your country. This is France. And this is just, again, it's mass immigration en masse. And now these people seem to think that they can just carry on living by the same rules as they were in their own country. You know, it's absolutely insane. Italy, everywhere. You know, it's just mad. These countries are gone, you know, and they're so close to us as well. It's scary. You know, France is bang next to us. And it's fucked. In Italy, the rape and the violence and that's happening in Italy is everywhere. It's all over Europe. It's everywhere. It's wherever mass immigration has taken place, violence and rape has shot through the roof. This is math. This is simple math. This is what's happened. It's a numbers game. The more you bring in, more violence, more victims will be created. And the people have had enough, you know. We want secure borders. We want safe countries. If we let, you know, 200,000 people in to a country and there wasn't rape gangs and there wasn't stabbings and people mounting curbs, then maybe it'd be a lot easier to swallow. But, you know, these things are coming with it. So, you know, obviously there's going to be people that say, well, can you not bring them, please? We want to be safe. We've got kids. We want our kids. You know, we're all thinking about our kids. The most passionate people in this movement have got children because we're doing it for them. We're thinking about the long game. We're thinking about 50 years' time. What's it going to be like if we don't fight against it now?
It really don't bear thinking about. Listen, we've got about 5 or 6 minutes left of chatting time. So what I want you to do is I just want to ask you what you're going to be doing next. What's your plans for in future? Where can people find you? And what's, you know, you've got this last 5 minutes just to fill us in with that.
Well, I think the next thing I'm going to be doing is Speaker's Corner, and I think that's on the 13th of October, so next Saturday, because Speaker's Corner has just been sort of taken over in London, and it's a tradition of ours, and we want to sort of gain it back a bit, you know. So I think it's the DFLA that's going down, so I'm going to be joining them and other people. But apart from that, you know, I just take things week by week, really. Do you know what I mean?
The DFLA, that's the DLFA. It's the
Football Lads Alliance.
Football Lads Alliance. That's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's it. Are you a football man yourself?
No, I'm not, mate. Thank God. You know, I'm not wasting my time getting passionate. I think that's another thing. You know, to get all these men passionate about watching a game, kicking a ball around, and all this, you know, testosterones, and it's just wasted there. Do you know what I mean? We need it where it counts, and I think that's why the FLA started, because, you know, all these football rivals put all their differences aside and thought, you know, there's bigger issues in this country that we need to tackle, and, you know, God bless him, they've all come together and created the FLA, which is now the DFLA. But what a fantastic, amazing thing to do. You know, all these rivals that go back years fighting each other. And then, you know, now they can be stood side by side on a rally, you know, in the knowledge that there's more important things than football at the moment. So yeah, big respect to them. They're amazing.
But things are happening, aren't they? Where do you see things going? Where do you? I mean, they're getting to a tipping point now, whereas they've got to give some sort of Brexit. Otherwise, like you said, they're probably going to be right us on the street, and it depends what they decide to do. Really, I mean,
Yeah. I'm not really big on predictions, and I'm a natural pessimist. So if you ask me what the future looks like, I might give you quite a bleak picture. But, you know, I'll try and drag a bit of optimism out, and I'll just say that I hope, you know, that the tide is turning. There's signs of it all over Europe that the tide is turning, and you know, the people are getting less scared to speak out, and this branding people racist, it's wearing too thin now. People are seeing through it, and people are seeing through the lies and the propaganda, and I think the youth as well. A lot of youth are coming to the right. As far as I'm concerned, the intellectuals have to come to the right. You know, they just have to. So yeah, I think the future is the right. I think I'll definitely be on the right side of history. I'll tell you that much.
Nice one. And so people can find you on Facebook, obviously. Dave Sumner, Sumner. Just lives within walking distance of me, folks. He walked up to the Boozer last week, and a committed activist, I would say, certainly committed. And you know, we've invited, shall we say, some people onto this show who may be considered right wing on the right. Dan Bostock springs to mind, but they never can come on.
Yeah,
they can never. I'll tell you what, you get your point and you defend it, and that's what I respect about you. You defend your point, whenever someone disagrees with you, you're perfectly capable of having a conversation and a disagreement. We are going down to a level of name calling and insults, unlike the left. So I've got a hell of a lot of respect for you for that. And, you know, I really enjoyed having a pint with you, and I'd love to do it again at some point.
Yeah, nice one, mate. Yeah, it's been nice to talk to you.
Brilliant. Yeah. Well, listen, thank you very much, John Sumner. Thanks to everyone who's been listening in the chat room. I'll get Aidy's back, just in case you didn't know. He's back, and he's I don't think he's brought anybody with him in his suitcase, but I think he did try once or twice, but probably got took out in customs. He's been in Thailand, by the way, Dave, for 3.5 weeks.
A lady boy.
There we go. Yeah, he's been ladyboying. He had a threesome. He said it was like winning the lottery, 6 matching balls. Anyway, big thanks to everyone who's listened. We'll be back tomorrow night. I don't know if we've got any plans. Andy, why don't you see us out? Tell us what we've got lined up for tomorrow.
I'm not sure what we've got lined up for tomorrow. If Paul knows, he might be able to type it in the chat room, because it's been a bit fluid at the minute. So I'm really not sure. Just all I would like to say tonight's song is especially for Dinny.
Take me away to the moonlight. The people around me don't. The only attraction. Take me away from here. Parties on, and one by one, the cars arrive and the people come. And I wonder if there will be anybody here alone. Every guy tries to catch my eye. Should I smile or should I sigh? Then you walked through the door and I saw that you were on your own. Take me away to the moonlight. The people around me don't feel right. What am I doing here? Come on, save me. Let's get away from the action. You're the only attraction. Take me away from here. Away without a single word. No one saw and no one heard. 'Cause we both agreed that just stay. I ran cold and thought, should I go